about true weight loss, which means you're not putting that much pressure. You're making small changes that a person can really keep up. You ever notice when someone does the drastic weight, they drink a shake? Don't eat. Eat one meal a day and then drink a shake 2 more times. Okay. Are you going to continue that the rest of your life? Not going to work. What you have to do is say, you know what we're going to do? Let's talk about all the things you need. I want a diary from you that tells me everything that went in your mouth for a whole week. And then you bring that in, and I'm going to look it over and say, okay, I see that you're drinking 6 sodas. You're the first place I'm going to go? Let's replace all but one of those sodas. You get 1 soda a day. Let's take 5 off. Or 3 off. Or some other small changes. You know, instead of eating beef 3 nights a week, we're going to eat it once a week. Or maybe you're going to have a meatless Monday. But in other words, give them something that can be real, that they can follow. Isn't that kind of what you're already doing with? Because who are probably the most holistic providers out there? Acupuncturists. You're going to talk about, let's increase some fiber in your diet. What I love is this is really changing the lifestyle, and that's what they're looking for. Why are they offering this? If we can help prevent obesity, how many diseases can we help save people from? Pretty much all the things that kill us. Heart disease, diabetes, and cancer are all 3 things that really increase your risk. This is really remarkable. Now, what I will say to you is make sure that the patient is making a commitment. You actually want to have a document in your file that the patient's agreeing to commit and follow through, because if you're going to do this, that's why you need this many visits. And you know what I like also, though? People will lose weight when they're held accountable. Because truthfully, does everyone know how to lose weight? We do. But losing weight is not as easy as it really is. It's easy because don't eat. Don't eat as much. We all know that. But it's more than that. So you really have to help someone to get through other things. Because you know what you're probably going to deal with also? We all have anxiety issues. And what I love about acupuncture is maybe you're going to do some needling that'll help them deal with stress and other things that will allow them to do better. And if you're treating them for back pain or other things at the same time, can you build this stuff in addition to your treatment? Absolutely. What are the codes for it? It's not codes you're used to. The codes for this are going to be preventative medicine codes. The codes are there too. 99401, that's preventative medicine or counseling for 15 minutes. And then there is 99402, preventative medicine counseling for 30 minutes. Notice it says approximately, so then it isn't exactly 15. So if you spend 10 minutes or so with this one, and you spend like 20, 25, it's probably more here. The prices for these you're going to see probably in the 45 to about 60 range for 401, about 60 to 90 for 402. That's something they will have to pay. Now the good news is, that's something you do. Be careful, don't open up a weight loss plan. You're still an acupuncturist. Your primary focus is dealing with pain, all the residuals of that. But how many of you had a patient with something you're treating, but they're also overweight? That's where I really think you're going to be focusing is more there. So these are the codes that they allow, okay? And here's the diagnosis you have to have. It's not a diagnosis for obesity. It is a diagnosis. Go back. Oh, I left them off. Listen on here. I'm not sure I'm going to get. Look on yours. You'll see the codes V8530. V8530 is the code that's current. Right above that, ICD-9. Because honestly, you can start doing that now. So if someone has a body mass index of 30, what's the code? V8530. If they have a body mass index between 31 and 31.9, it's V8531. Or 32. Notice it just goes up. I think it makes the most sense. If they have a BMI, like if you're doing me, it would be V8533. Now, if I gain 5 pounds, it would be 34. But it just is a simple cross. Now, look at the second code you'll see there. It says Z68, Z68, Z68. Those are ICD-10. So I want to make sure you have both. Because what codes are we using now? ICD-9. This begins now. What codes will we use in October? ICD-10. ICD-10. Okay, but those are the codes for it. Second code over, just read right across, you'll see it. See it? Okay? So that way you have all the codes. I want to be careful here because I know that everybody's, I'm going to go crazy. No. Be reasonable. This is for something that's reasonable that you're saying I'm also dealing with. Let's not start saying, hey, I can treat it, but now let's find out this. For someone that's not, because some of you may have come to a seminar with me before that, because I've been talking about this since September. How many were aware of this? There's almost no doctor aware of it. Simply because it's in the law, but how many people have really talked about it? And that's why I want to make sure you're aware, because think of how many patients would go, really? Because you got a patient that you'll say, we really should do something with your weight. Let's let's take care of it. And the patient is going, you mean my insurance will help pay for some of that? Yes. That's nice. Now, you know what the overall factor is, why doesn't insurance do this? They're forced to, but the reality is, you know why insurance is allowing this? Does this help them? It does. In the long term, it helps quite a bit. For instance, also what's covered, addictions. If you can help someone stop smoking, they will pay for that also. How do they pay for that? Preventive medicine counseling. However, make sure that the patient is on some type of addiction protocol. I would make sure there's something going on that you're doing. There's a lot of states that certify acupuncturists that are real acupuncturists, in my opinion. They're called detox specialists. They do a regular acupuncture, and they do it just for addictions, which is great. They're not treating pain, but they find that when you do acupuncture with people who have addictions, that the success rate is much higher. So if I'm an addictive person or I'm addicted to something, I would prefer to do everything I can to help prevent it, because it's shown that most people take 2 or 3 times before they can really break it. And if I can use acupuncture, maybe it helps the first time. I love that. Okay? But that's preventive medicine. You bill everything in addition to, I'm going to take questions at the end, you bill everything in addition to. This requires no modifier. This is by itself. It's just by itself. If you're billing acupuncture, you bill acupuncture with it. If you're billing an exam code, you bill an exam code, because the exam is separate from this. The only modifier you need is when you have an exam and treatment. This doesn't require it. Okay? Let me run through the questions here. I had one from you or you. Well, this is preventative medicine. So preventative medicine counseling could be addictions, weight loss, and so forth. So it would fit any of that. Here's my focus. I don't want you to go too far in the addictions. Slow down. What I can tell you is weight loss is across the board. Addictions, yes, but I don't want to go so far yet because there's not a lot of evidence-based stuff that they're really pushing at. What I will tell you that the insurances have said is this. Why can I say this so definitively? I sit on the board of Blue Cross. I'm on what's called the reimbursement committee. We go over coding. And this is the information they gave me in August, surprisingly. And I was like, wow. And they're like, nope, we got to cover it. And I was like, great, love it. And so that's why I'm teaching it to you now so you can say, okay, this is effective today. Okay? Question here.
Yeah, most of those counseling sessions be in person or do they also be over?
Oh, absolutely not. They got to be in person. This is face-to-face for real, no phone. Now, if you want to do some extra phone calls, though, that's great. You're not going to get paid anything for the phone calls. But this is, it's still, but to bill, they have to be in the office with you, not a staff person. It has to be you. Okay? I'm going to work my way around. I'm going to go here. Yes?
Yeah, is this both in-network and out-of-network?
Well, it depends on the insurance. If the insurance has only in-network benefits and you're not in-network, no, it's not with you. Remember, that doesn't change. Just because a policy has acupuncture doesn't mean it's with you if you're out of network. So that's still going to apply. But if the patient has a benefit for out of network, yes. Or if the benefit's in network and you're in network, yes. Okay? Yes?
I see face-to-face going to be in group.
This is face-to-face. There's no group. There's no group. This has to be for real. This is not Weight Watchers. Okay, I think Weight Watchers is a good program, but this is really for a one-on-one doctor visit, not a group setting. If you want to do a group setting, those are cash patients. Okay, so if you want to, pardon? Or if you want to add in a, like you said, a phone call, or you say, hey, we have a session at 6:30, just understand those are all free, or the patient's paying you directly. Okay, but the insurance will cover it this way. Yes? We'll cover that when we get to that. Okay? I'm going to tell you that so many times you're going to be sick of it. Okay? Yes? Yeah. But here's the problem. Here's the issue. Is acupuncture covered in California? So let's forget that. That technically is a moot point, unless it's a grandfather policy. Now I will tell you there's going to be somewhere in a fight, but that's a moot point. It's covered. The law doesn't say if you feel like covered. The law says you have to cover it. Read the law again. It says it shall include all factors of the essential health benefits of 1302, which is California decided as part of it. However, in Oregon, which nutrition is part, even for no acupuncture benefits, they're going to cover this. Here's the issue. I may say like Oregon is going. There's so many insurances in Oregon that cover acupuncture, almost everything. And this is going to make you very, very jealous. Have you ever treated a personal injury in Oregon? Have you ever treated a personal injury case in Oregon? Auto accident?
I was the office manager for acupuncture.
Okay. Here's what's going to make California very jealous. In Oregon, you guys are familiar with MedPay? And the med pay pays direct. In Oregon, the law is mandatory on every policy, $10,000